Hello and welcome to Tabletop Games UK's unboxing of the full package, everything for Test of Honour, the Samurai Miniatures game from Warlord Games. Now, if you're watching this, you might be on the fence. Don't be, it's great, just buy it. You don't need to see what's already in here, other than it's great, okay? Now there are loads of other guys who've already done that. What we're going to try and do is a whistle-stop tour of everything, just to see what the game is capable of delivering. Just first of all, I'm just going to touch on what I think are a couple of really clever things from the box set. So first of all, you've got the fact that it comes with some nice scenery. Obviously it's 2D, but if you look carefully when you flip them over, it's the same buildings but burnt out, which I think is pretty clever. Could lead to all kinds of scenarios that you can do. Obviously everything's top-notch quality. There's no skimping here. You get a whole stack of cards. Most of these are recruitment cards, so these are your options when it comes to force building, and they're actually, really, it's only half this many recruitment cards because there's enough for 2 people in the set. So if you have a friend, you've got a friend, right? Then you can buy this between you and have more than enough guys to play for ages without really needing anything else, I would say. There are some other cool things about the game that you might not know. The black cards represent dishonour, so you can misbehave to make attacks slightly more easy. There's some injury cards. They just represent that your hero is struggling on despite getting maimed slightly. And then something that's really nifty are the fate cards, the fate decks. So each of the expansions adds to this, and some of these are really good skills. Some of them are nice quests which are really good for campaign play. So there's one that I particularly like, which is Nemesis. I think that's in the Masked Men set, which means that you have to defeat the same samurai multiple times in order to complete that. A lot of them are really situational. So there are some which are like really good, like this one, map. +1 dice to test a wits for a search action. Now, if you're not playing a scenario which requires you to search anything, then it's dead, isn't it? But such is fate, I guess. So that's that. You got the nifty little dice. Now I've seen a couple of people complain about these because they're too small. But if, like me, you've only got wee hands, then they're perfect. So I'll just hold them up. So you've got side with 2 swords, flip side with a cross, 2 sides that have 1 sword, and 2 sides that are blank. Now all of the dice rolls use these, so you don't need anything else other than a ruler to play the game, which is great. So let's quickly move on to the things that most other people have got. So a lot of people who ordered it will have received an unarmoured samurai. It's a great little model. Comes with a free upgrade card which makes your samurai more nimble but easily hurt if he does get caught by a blow. That's pretty cool, I like that. You get the geisha. Now this model is gorgeous, and I'm really hoping that Matt does a good job and does a painting video on this, because it's a lovely figure. And if you didn't get one, then I feel sorry for you a little. Not sure on the rules for this. I think there's situations where she's going to be fantastic. She's going to be like a complete pain. You're not going to be able to deal with her properly because she can't be attacked until she has attacked in the battle. But then there's going to be other games where she's just not going to be very effective. So I guess that's the trade-off with her. Take 1 for your force, She might be great, she might not. So, next thing I want to just touch on, and I've seen this a couple of times as well. So a couple of people saying that these figures are not any good, and having seen them painted in the flesh and owning my own, I'd say these are really detailed plastic kits. I don't see there's anything wrong with them. Now obviously I haven't stuck them together yet, so maybe there's a problem with assembly, but I can't see that there would be any issue here. There's loads of options. So this particular sprue is a 5-man samurai sprue. It's got 10 heads, a quick glance, 5 different crests, it's got 5 spears in case you wanted to give them all spears, 5 heavy swords, backup weapons, banners, the whole works really. There's everything that you could need. And the other great thing about these is that they seem to be pretty compatible with the Ashkaru spears and Ashkaru archer sprues, which again I think are really good. They are highly detailed, solid plastic kits. So I can't say I haven't got any complaints anyway. Really pleased with them. Don't think that anybody should really have too many moans. And again, loads of spares on all. If you really particularly wanted to pursue a Ronin kind of force, then you'd have plenty of options for that. There are enough like unhelmeted heads on these that you could make a huge amount of that feel of figure if you had all of the figures. So I'm pretty confident that whichever way you decide to go, unless you went for something a bit niche like Masked Men maybe, that you'd have enough here that you could do whatever you wanted to. So I'm pleased with those. That's good. So I guess it's time that we get on with the expansions. So the first thing I'm going to look at is Ronin. Now it's a test of honour, right? And I think if you watch the movies, the Ronin are kind of regarded as honourable, wandering samurai. They've had a misfortune and now they're searching to redeem themselves almost. So you can play with them that way. They're just a bit scruffy looking. Or you can go full on dishonour. And that's pretty easy to do because they get a recruitment card that is designed to let you do that. Tadashi the Dishonoured. Now Tadashi gets the Dirty Trick skill card. Now what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that he can take dishonour cards to make the opposing enemy unable to avoid his attacks, which is pretty pro, really. The big, when we played the game, the big factor in survivability for samurai is their ability to get out of the way. So yeah, he's pretty good. 6. So you pay an extra point for him, really, and then but you get a really cool ability. There are a lot of other abilities in this expansion, which we were talking about earlier, that actually mean that the more dishonour you get, it might not necessarily be a bad thing. So they look pretty cool, plus the model's wicked, and the scruffy looking samurai heads are pretty nifty, I think. What's next? Oh, okay, right, I forgot this. Now, these are the extra cards and dice. Now the dice, I'm not sure whether you really need the red dice. The cards though, if you don't have these, then you're kind of, I think, missing out a little. Not a huge amount, obviously, but this is kind of like, I would say if you bought 2 things, get the box and get the dice and the cards for the cards. You get a couple of extra dishonour cards, a bonus wound, which is nifty if you're playing in a campaign, especially if it's one-on-one. Like lingering wounds, really like nasty if you're playing a narrative campaign. And then there's some extra quest cards and like appalling luck. Roll 5 crosses in a single test. So you know there are some extras in here that I don't think I'd want to be without having read them. So get your hands on this. Head over to Warlord's store. Buy it right now. Not right now. Wait till I've finished. So what's next after Ronan? The Pauper Soldiers, led by the Thorn. Now the Thorn, and really the Pauper Soldiers aren't a huge different from any of the other Screw kind of guys, so they're a little bit more nimble, I think, is the thing. But Senzo's really good. So he starts the game with the one with the target skill card and is armed with a bow for 7. So he gets a bow and he gets a skill. And the skill is, when making a shoot action, the samurai can move 5 inches instead of 3. And he has 3 actions because he's a samurai lord. So he seems pretty good. Like just racing about all over the place, popping arrows into your guys. And I think when I've been reading about it and when we looked before, you could potentially build a force which is designed mainly to make your opponent avoid hits, and then that way it just suppresses them. Maybe take a cavalry guy with a spear and just kind of rush in off the flank and butcher them whilst they're unable to defend themselves. So there's lots of options. Maybe too many. I'm struggling a bit with exactly which ones to start with. So, you know, Paupers look pretty good. Now the Masked Men, I actually think these guys look really cool. So I'm going to hold the box up to the camera, because I think of all the kits, I think these guys look the coolest. Just the heads really differentiate them from the other kits. So, but again, just an Ashgaru Spearman sprue or 2. You get a cool monk figure with a staff. And I actually think that staff is one of the cooler weapons because it can knock people down on a critical defense. And then, you know, whilst they're laying there, you can just swack them. And he's not to be sniffed at, to be honest. 5s across the board, like most of the lords. And he has, before each battle, give Masahiro the Prayer and Devotion skill card, which means he can re-roll all the dice for a test. Okay, so yeah, he's pretty good. So that critical moment of the battle, when everything went wrong, not for this guy. Fingers crossed. So I think those guys are really good. I think that they might be my first force. But we've also got mounted samurai. Now this again, new sprue here. Comes complete with beautiful looking horses, baggage and all kinds of accessories, and the usual array of samurai goodness. Lots of spears here, but that would make sense. I think historically that's probably the way they were armed. But also there's enough bows that you can arm almost every fellow with one. And there's a naginata here. So again, loads of options on the sprue, not to be sniffed at all. There's even some enemy heads here. Somebody's been doing a bit of trophy collecting before this started, which is excellent to see. And these heads are really actually pretty cool. There's some really fancy looking helmets here. As I said before, the kits are, you can cross them over. So if you particularly liked one of these helmets or crests, there's no reason at all why you couldn't make a foot samurai with those. So yeah, I'm really impressed by this whole thing, really, to be honest. But she has cards. I say she's the other lady in the game. Avenging her fallen husband. Now, she does weigh in at a mighty 8 of your 24 points. So, and it's possible that somebody could just shoot her on turn 1. But I'm sure that won't happen. It'll be fine. She actually starts with a skill card, the Side of Right, which means that you get to have a free action with a commoner unit if your opponent gets to 3 or more dishonor cards. So it's kind of a bit niche, I would say. But she's good, she's decent. She's decent. I'd actually say though, because she rolls 1 less dice on strength, that you'd be better off not making her and using all 5 plastic guys and making a mounted hero instead, if you're being competitive. It's a really cool model though, so don't hold that against it. And you could always just not use the Widow card, basically. So, you know, look at it, decide for yourselves. That's what I'm going to do though. I prefer plastic to metal, just because I find that I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to knock her over one day and then she's going to fall off her horse. So, but as I say, really cool model, and that comes with 5 more heads. And the thing that I think nobody really has mentioned is that there's so many spare parts here that you've got more than enough to do objective markers. You could even make like little tiny trophy markers for your samurai to lug around, right? Because there's loads of heads. So just have like, oh look, he's decapitated a guy. I'll have put a 1 next to him just to kind of goad your opponent a little bit. Just be like, yeah, no, look, he's got 3 heads now. So yeah, no, I'm really impressed. This is a game that I'm really pleased that I got in on the pre-order for. Sometimes I've been disappointed with Kickstarters and things like that in the past. So no, all in all, I would say let's do it. Head over to Warlord Games, buy yourself one, or from your friendly local gaming store.